Hello, you're now tuned in to another episode of And That's That, where we talk a little bit of opinion and a whole lot of facts. And that's that. I'm your host, Rome State Community College student, Shane Wilkerson. I like to start my show out with citing my sources. Today's information is courtesy of BBC News, Rack.com, and Wikipedia. Let's get into it. Today's topic, plus size models. A few questions. Is it unhealthy? A video courtesy of BBC News. They interviewed a previous member of parliament in the UK, Edwina Currie. And they showed her a picture of Ashley Graham, who is a very famous US plus size model. And some of her comments were as follows when asked what did she think about this model. She expressed that she looked unhealthy and dangerous. She definitely harped on the unhealthy, saying it wasn't a good look. Not focusing on whether or not it's attractive or not, just the statement of it being unhealthy. And so they also had journalist Katie Glass on the show, who discussed body positive and the fact that even some plus size models were encouraged to wear padding to look even more big, which is the other side of it. You know, what's too skinny? What's too big? There's all these questions. So Edwina goes on to say, bottom line, being bigger is unhealthy. That was her whole thing. So in the US, clothing industry, size 14 and up is considered to be plus size. And me personally, I wear 14, 16, so I would be considered plus size. There's a question of, is the term plus size, should that be a thing? And I did a little research to find Australian author A.J. Rochester came up with and coined the hashtag #DropThePlus on Instagram. And her whole insight on it, with her being in the UK, she's a size 14. In the US, that's a size 10. So she would not even be considered plus size in America. But because of her figure, they may, of course, look at her as plus size, which I find to be interesting. Her statement was, I am a model, not a plus size model. Why does there have to be diversity in that way? Apparently, there was a lot of attention on this. She was supported by another plus size model by the name of Stefania Ferrario, who also supports the fact that the term plus size shouldn't even really be a thing, because it kind of separates the small from the big. We already know who's small and who's big. Why should we further separate with terms such as plus size? And what's interesting is the term plus size was actually coined by a department store, Lane Bryant. Interesting. In the 1920s, they coined this term. So, it's definitely prevalent and present. I'm sure we can all agree. So, with that, I found in the video interview with Edwina, she said even though she wasn't maybe her ideal size, it's just not healthy, which I disagree with, because just because you're not small, that doesn't mean that you're unhealthy. You know, I've definitely personally experienced fitness classes where the smallest person was getting just as tired as the person who was maybe bigger than them. As far as size goes with women, one size 8 doesn't look like the next size 8. One size 14 doesn't look like the other size 14. I think you have to take into account body types along with size. As far as it being offensive, I think to separate, just creating that division can be a little harmful. But I mean, there's other successful plus size models out there. Some that embrace the plus size as a positive thing, such as famed yoga teacher Jessamine Stanley. She definitely takes a stance on body positive subject matters and has started a movement in the social media realm. So I think it's important to have supportive influences regarding plus size. Now, what I also found interesting is the comment of it being dangerous. Now, something I will agree with Edwina is saying that you're okay with kind of promoting being plus, but in a way that is harmful, such as promoting being unhealthy, like being happy with that part. That part I don't agree with. I think you definitely should be healthy whatever size you are, trying to take care of yourself, kind of promoting the fact that you are comfortable in your size. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but promoting it in a healthy way is very important. So to sum it up, I think there needs to be more inclusivity, but more transparency with those who are okay with it. Now, one comment that journalist Katie Glass made was about, I don't think you should have to be rude about expressing if it's, maybe not attractive or you don't feel that it's healthy. There's definitely ways to express your thoughts without being rude about discussing plus size, because for some it can be a very sensitive subject. For me, I've been smaller and I've been larger, and it does take a little bit of work to, I guess, if you want to be smaller, be lean, whatever, it definitely takes work to do that. But there can also be harm in that, because you have to think about being too thin. That's the thing, bulimia and things like that come into play when we're talking about models. So image, I just think we need to be more cautious, be more aware when talking about plus size, because it's a thing. But it could be a good thing. I don't think it has to be bad. So it's just being more open-minded. And that's that. So I hope you've enjoyed this discussion. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, we'll have a little more opinion and a whole lot of facts. And that's that. Thanks for tuning in.